Hello, Culture Matters podcast. We're back again with another culture topic. If you follow me on Instagram, Doran underscore the culture man. We have I can't talk today. Topics on life, business, culture, and they're shorter. It's 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, just to catch an idea and unpack it. But today I'm expanding on one of our topics, which is understanding the power of listening in leadership. And the purpose is to go as deep as I can so we can learn together. So, why this is valuable to you would be, well, if leadership is valuable to you, if you have worked for an organization and weren't quite sure why it was such a terrible place, or you have a company and you don't like the people you work with, you'd like to have a stronger bench, a stronger team. Those are just a couple of reasons why this would be helpful to you. The power of listening and leadership. Um, Listening and leadership. So, first of all, listening and inquiry have a relationship. Listening may be for you, just not interrupting, help helping people tell you what's going on if they work for you. Let's start with that. If they work for you and with you, just not interrupting, just not thinking for others will create a space where they can think for themselves. The more that people think for themselves, they are going to be more productive for themselves, the organization, and ultimately, you're the shareholder for you. Now, that might seem like common sense. Well, but common sense and common action, they're not related. I could understand something. I could be talking this exact topic would be top of mind for me because naturally that's not something I act out, uh, period. Right. It's top of mind because that's something I'm aware that I have had to work on and have to practice to not contradict it. What my mind races faster than my mouth. My mind race faster than someone else's ability to get out what it is that they want to get out. That's not uh, a behavioral dynamic that's going to create meaningful relationships or help people be the best version of themselves around us, around me, around you, around anyone. So slowing down and actually letting people finish the sentences that come out of their mouth. That might seem like, yeah, common sense, but it happens all the time. And I've witnessed it. I've done it. I do it, and I work on it. And one of the values of doing the Culture Matters podcast, it's helped me slow down and develop some executive skills like preparation, um, research, the discipline to let people talk, let people finish their sentences. The quality of my questions have improved over time from letting people talk. The power of listening in leadership, it's part of leadership. If it's going to include other people, it's not going to be a tyrannical relationship, a top down relationship, a relationship rooted in power and authority and servitude, but a relationship rooted in potential, promise, purpose, participation, pleasure for both parties. Not just those coming up. I'm sorry, those already arrived, quote unquote, but those coming up. We're transforming a relationship from master slave to a shepherd and herding sheep. That sounds a little, well, if that sounds a little shitty. So, it's like the quote, I'd rather have a army of lions led by a sheep than an army of, I'm saying that backwards. I'd rather have an army of sheep led by a lion than an army of lions led by a sheep. Understanding the power of listening is tapping into not only the ability to move and maybe inspire or even just not inspire, influence others towards an action, towards an aim from sheer will, determination, and sacrifice, and an obsession, but to inspire the best out of someone in that process. Not only will the organization grow larger and for the long term and be an advantage to let's say succeed in the ebbs and flows of business, but it will, in theory, be more meaningful because how can you get to know your people if you don't listen to them? They'll only be mirrors and reflections of your own ideology. So I wrote down here listening is tied to vision, strategy, planning, execution. Why? It's near impossible to listen in fight or flight. Okay. Yeah. The less clear, if we're, let's say, founding leadership, the less clear on where we're going, why we're going there, how we're getting there, the less we've we actually are sacrificing and owning what it is our tasks like that we have to do, and the worse things are going in the business, the harder it is to listen because if we're in fight or flight, we're going to be procrastinating, the art of avoiding today, destroying to avoid avoiding today, destroying tomorrow, living in yesterday, avoiding today, and destroying tomorrow. Ben Franklin. Procrastinating, putting things off, anxiety increases. It's harder to hear other people. Now things are more personal. Remember, if we founded a business, our identity is wrapped up in that thing. We're in a reactive state. It all means everything. It's all or nothing. This is where visioning comes in, planning comes in, it's not the only thing because then there's also sacrifice, owning things, getting things done. It doesn't have to be an either or. Let's integrate these two together. If the less my anxiety is, the less the anxiety is deconstructive or, just shutting down versus being used as a force for taking action and getting things done. Like there's apprehension before I hit record. Whenever I do these, am I ready? You know, is it going to be good enough? Will I be clear enough? All the possibilities of like insecurities that I have of how I could show up on this whatever this is that I'm doing with you. What am I doing? I know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I would like to have a deeper relationship with you. It would be fulfilling for you to know what it is I think and a bit more about what I do and what we do as a firm. And me talking about these topics can, over time, sow this, ferment, sow the seeds to that, or feed the soil healthy nutrients. But there's still that insecurity of like, what if it's unclear? I'm unclear. Could I be more prepared? Do I have all my thoughts down? Now, after or while in it, I'm excited about it. And also excited, even doing it, right? Having this conversation now is exciting. It's therapeutic, cathartic, inspiring, ideas and creativity is flowing. When we're done, there's a sense of pride, like having accomplished something. And then there's all this future fruit as people tell me what they got from this, or even there's meaningful growth in the criticisms and the critiques, and there's just an exponential value curve from having done something that could otherwise easily avoided. So what does that have to do with listening? Well, taking the time to vision and plan increases the likelihood, or yeah, has a relationship with the likelihood of action, keeping commitments, sacrifice, and communicating that to the world, to my team, to our people. Listening is going to be a part of that, and others are going to help me make this better. Those on our team are going to help me make this better. You listener, you listening to this, your feedback will help me make this better, which in turn will help me be better. But if I'm in a state of fight or flight, if we're in a state of fight or flight, anxiety is crippling us. We've not taken the time to get clear where we're going and why we're going there and have a plan of how we're going there. We're not getting it done. We're caught up in just, concept and theory. We're not taking action because anxiety, fear is crippling us. We're being cowardly and, not, and we're succumbing to procrastination, the entitlement that can cause that. Well, then why would we listen to anyone if we feel like losers? Because we're losing. Could easily then now call ourselves a loser and then feel like a loser and be in this victim state. And that reminds me of that rule one, the type of people, people rule one, beyond order. Do not carelessly denigrate social institutions and creative achievements. The more of a victim that I actually am, and then believe that I am, rather than admit that I am a victim, I might just become a victor, quote unquote, or a a prophet of some ideology. Anyway, listen to that series for that one. Here's my second thought. I'm coughing and this is really going well. uh, Listening and passivity are not cause effect, but they do have a relationship. The nuance is key. Not interrupting is a component of listening. Actually, being open to what someone else is saying is a component of listening. But being passive, not saying what one thinks, that's not what I'm recommending. Not to take it too far. At some point, we're gonna have to say what we think, ask a deeper question to understand. But at some point, listening, I don't know if we're actually listening if we're being passive. What's the right? What's the At some point that can become almost nullifying or numbing. So understanding the power of listening and leadership, it's a component of you're gathering information so that we can add to the general whole, the general collective, to help problem solve. But if we don't say what we think and we don't share the fruit of our listening, then what's the distinction between listening and omission, listening and omitting, being an active participant in the creation and cultivation of value, or being a passive beneficiary. Let's not be a passive beneficiary, because we may be participating in something that's not in alignment with our idealized self or the values that we say we believe and we think. And that degree of cowardice will add to our demise as well as others. So that's tough, because in a business context, if you work for a company or with a company, you're a vendor, customer, like whatever, your customers, you may not want to tell your customers what you think. You worried to lose the business. That becomes a value conversation. And I guess in theory, if we're engaged in our business, if we're doing what we need to be doing, we're sacrificing accordingly, working diligently, the more that we tell the truth, the better our outcome will be eventually. But somewhere between telling the truth and eventually is reality. And you might lose it all in the process of telling the truth for a period of time. That is a scary prospect. Understanding the power of listening. Listening will help us also in our awareness of what the truth is so that we could be courageous towards it. Asking questions is a part of understanding. Here's another one. Asking questions is a part of understanding, which is more than listening, it's leading. Um, I know enough to tell, but I'll submit my ego. Yeah, yeah. So the more intentionally I'm listening and it, having courage proportional to intuition, to conceptualization of what's being said, to concept, the more questions I can ask of the highest quality. So listening has a relationship with understanding, like I'm digging, and then somewhere in that I'm telling the truth as I see it. That's going to spur more reaction. and a call to action interaction with my counterpart, which is a values test. And who knows where that is going to go as far as ideas and things that come to me. Uh, it's an exponential explosion of creativity and opportunity and ideas, and who knows what's going to come of that, what type of learning will come of that, what type of, and then I think relationships, the meaning and the depth they have has a relationship with that relating, the listening and the inquiring and the truth telling. And is there a formula? I don't know. I don't know if there should be. I mean, you could argue formula depending on the goal you have in mind, the context, but should there even be? Well, I think if we're paying attention, our counterpart is going to tell us how to talk to them. And we have to honor people as we pursue the truth so as to not alienate ourselves from people. But asking questions is part of understanding, which is more than listening, it's leading. Well, that depends, because it's not necessarily leading a witness or asking questions you know the answers to, or trying to go a certain way with the conversation. It could be just exploring an idea with someone. It's there's a sacrificial element to that. I have to kind of compartmentalize everything that I think to try to explore with you. And I'm doing this at varying degrees of competency and awareness through the Culture Matters podcast, exploring ideas with people. I do think I need to do a better job, and I'm not doing this alone, bringing on as many people as possible that can challenge me. Because it's as I'm growing, it's, who I can grow with is going to evolve. And that's an interesting phenomenon that we can take that will take place together. Um, in ending of this thought, understanding the power of listening and leadership. Believe I listen the pursuit to listening better, of more, better quality, has made me a better person, advisor, speaker, thinker, person. And yeah, I would follow me on Doran _ the Culture Man on Instagram, and continue to listen to the Culture Matters podcast, and from the beginning to the hundreds and hundreds of episodes we're at now, and you will see me evolve as a person, advisor, listener, podcaster, consultant, um, listener, and a person that has had the opportunity now to, in some context, lead leaders, or those that, from a positional standpoint, are in circumstances of responsibility of others, who are accountable to shareholders and to large groups of people. Listening and the pursuit of learning how to listen better, and the philosophy around what listening is and is not, has helped me teach, advise, and learn with people uh, of higher standing, and surpass many of my perceivable contemporaries and our actual competitors. So, understanding the power of listening and leadership is understanding power and responsibility and the difference. And please follow me on Instagram, Doran _ the Culture Man, for culture topics every week, and leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast. We will see you next time.